Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You might be or might not be running around to get a big deal during the Black Friday. Nevertheless, thank you for being with me again today. Here with some updates from Russia and all over the world. So, what's going on here? Putin-Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, is in Moscow right now and holds meetings with Putin and his team. Mr. Péter Szijjártó, the foreign minister of Hungary, is also there meeting Lavrov. We're gonna see what they discussed during these meetings, and mainly it is the bilateral relations between Hungary and Russia. Not much about the war, but hey, I have some updates from Mr. Orban regarding why do we have a war still in Ukraine. We're going to have Putin telling us about the Budapest Summit between Trump and himself, who proposed it, who postponed it, and if the summit is still on track. Then we're going to find out the biggest holdback in achieving peace in Ukraine on Putin's opinion. Then we have Yermak. Yermak, the Jewish president's chief of staff, his house is raided. The anti-corruption authorities in Ukraine raided his apartment, and guess what they found? I will tell you what this all is about regarding the corruption in Ukraine. Corruption is much bigger than they tell us here, I guarantee you that. Then we find out that China gets involved in the peace process in Ukraine. What else we have here? We have the last one. After the, how do you call it, SBU, anti-corruption, NABU, National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, conducted searches at Yermak's house and so on, and what charges they filed. Okay, let's start with the first one, right here. Russia Today. This is from the 28th of November 2026. Putin meets Orban in Moscow. Live updates. The two leaders are expected to discuss energy security and the Ukraine conflict. And I would like you to take a look at the picture. And we have here Péter Szijjártó right there for a Mr. And Mr. Lavrov, these guys right here. I'm going to show you a better picture when Mr. Szijjártó is grinning in the background. So they will do that. I'm traveling to Moscow so that Hungary's energy supply is secured for the winter and for the following year at an affordable price. He stated, adding that the Ukraine conflict is an issue that can hardly be avoided when he meets with Putin. All right, excellent. So, Kirill Dmitriev, an aide to Putin, who is deeply involved in normalizing talks with the US, has commented on Orban's visit, saying Europe's choice of reason. Correct. I know some people say that Orban is Putin's Trojan horse in Europe and he's coming to get some orders. I even responded on Facebook to one comment in Romanian where the person who said, yeah, he goes to Moscow to give the report and to follow orders or something like that, gets more orders. And my response was, wasn't he 2 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. first? But anyway, memory matters. So let's see the next one. And the meeting here from Sputnik, Putin-Orban meeting a new impulse for Russia-Hungary relations. And here are the, look at this guy, bang, important people here. You're not going to see Szijjártó, just the tip of his head, but I have a different picture that I can show you. Hungarian Prime Minister Orban traveled to Moscow to meet Russian and discuss energy cooperation and Ukraine crisis. They talk about energy, where the Russians provide them with oil and gas. Then look here, 70 and 80%, 85% of Hungary's needs are in oil and gas from the Russians. Nuclear tech, the Russians have, I think, 2 reactors now, PECs. How many they have? they got 4. Russia maintained, they had 2, maintained 500 reactors, power plant, guarantee over half of Hungary's electricity. So, are you going to give me something cheaper? This is an old picture, this is not, this is the picture that, this is an old one right here. I think by the face, or he didn't sleep well. Then they go into space. 2 Hungaries of 3 astronauts were launched into the orbit aboard Soviet and Russian Soyuz launch vehicles. In 2021, a Hungarian Smog-1 satellite rider hitchhiked to space aboard another Soyuz rocket. So, infrastructure, trade, these guys are very much linked. And if I have a family, right, a nation, a country, and I am the representative, I'm supposed to protect, I'm supposed to know about a family, because a nation is an extended family, supposed to be. But since these guys try to destroy the nation states, they want to create this multicultural garbage. Under what kind of culture or civilization, that remains to be seen. Obviously, you try to provide the best for your people. Now, there's some politics in the neighborhood, but the main duty that you have is towards your family. The main one, the first one. I mean, if you say, well, if you're not alive, you can't provide them with anything. That's true as well. But I'm saying, if you guys in politics want me to not buy groceries from store A, but you want me to buy from store B, tell me, how do I benefit? How does my family benefit out of that? And if you give me that, that's fine. But you can't tell me, oh, you buy here groceries at, let's say, $1 per month, but you tell me to buy from the other one at, I don't know, $500 a month. Why? Well, you have an option. It's true. You have many options as well, like beat it. So this is where Hungary is. These guys in the United States of America, they tell them, oh, you got to find, and European Union, you got to find options. You got to go and get and buy it from somewhere else. Like you, destroy my energy, have my family enjoy a worse standard of living and so on. No, thank you. So that's Orban. But it could be interpreted that he is Putin's guy, but he goes to Washington, D.C. and he meets Trump whenever. I mean, Hungary got a 1-year exemption from being sanctioned. That means they can do business with the Russians. Only Hungary. Why? Well, we're all equal, but some of us are more equal. I mean, if you place sanctions on Russia and you tell the Indians not to buy the Russian oil, but you don't tell the Hungarians, you lost any credibility in the Justice Department. All right, next one. Let's see what this guy's is saying, which is Orban. European Union making war plans while Russia and US talk peace, according to Orban. So that was the economic aspect of the relations between Putin and Orban, and here is the international relations, which is like global. And obviously the elephant in the room is the West in Ukraine. The Hungarian Prime Minister has likened Brussels policy to that of a gambler with bad cards. Now this is Trump's expressions and he copied it. The US is deliberately stalling Russia and US efforts to resolve the Ukraine conflict, Orban said, accusing the bloc of still plotting war while everyone else is striving for peace. Now remember, it's not only the European Union is not a monolith in they all want war. No, they're factions inside. Whoever gets the to promise the big interest, big profits, they win. So these guys, the politicians, are not owned by the people and are not our representatives. On paper they are, but in reality they are the representatives of big business and banking systems and so on. This is what they are. So the fight right now, why the Europeans are throwing a tantrum right now, is because they didn't get enough or almost nothing from the pie, from the Russian pie, and the Russian pie seems to be going away from them. They can't get it because they lose in Ukraine, and they were kicked out by the Americans in Ukraine. The Americans made the deal with Ukrainians regarding Ukraine's natural resources. So the Europeans lost everything. The influence in Ukraine seems to be American. The Americans going to make peace through Ukraine, not the Europeans. The Europeans are the big losers, but the Europeans also sanctioned their own industries by not buying Russian cheap oil and gas and so on at the order of the Americans. So the Europeans are the big losers. The big companies over there are losing. So obviously they say, hey, what about me? I want to be at the negotiating table. I want some perks. The perks are going away. They lost Russia. At this attempt, they will try again. Don't worry. So yes, it says here that EU making war plans. The guys in charge of EU right now, which are the big business, through their jackals. But there are some other interests who are opposing this interest, or they try to adjust. All right, and this is the picture I was telling you about. Beautiful picture right there. And we'll use this. Look here. Look at that face. Look at that smile, man. Smirk, whatever you call it. Look at this guy. I'm here, man. What can I do? Nothing. This guy's, I told you. Okay, get it on, boys. Let's go. This is the you should frame this one and put it to Ursula. Putin, Russia-US summit in Budapest was proposed by Trump. So Putin said, yeah, we're ready. He proposed it and he postponed it. Let me show you what he says. And I'm quoting, it was Donald's proposal, Putin said during talks with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Moscow. All right. And here Budapest was proposed by Trump as venue for Russia-US summit, Putin. And here's the video with all these guys very, very attentive. All right, next one. Putin says he's ready to meet Trump in Hungary. Well, this is the way it is, my friends, with adults. Things are more complex. Yeah, things could be very, very easy. Make peace. All right, we all like peace. Under whose terms? Napoleon Bonaparte said, I am a man of peace. Unless, I make the terms. I make the peace. It depends on my terms. I dictate the terms. I like peace. I want your car. I want your house. I want your wife. I want all that under my terms, not yours. And we're going to have peaceful life. So it's always like this. So it's very simple, but it's also very complex. What do you mean you want my car? What do you want? You want my house? What do you want my wife? Oh, you can have my wife. She's a big mouth. God damn it, she's fat. But that's a different story. So again, here, yes, he wants to meet. I'm ready to meet. The problem is the Russians, the adults, say there's so many issues to be discussed before we meet in Budapest, and that's Hollywood. That's living in America. Remember James Brown in Rocky, 3 or 4 with Drago? That's what it is. The Russians will not waste time with this kind of childish, baboonish stuff that these guys are playing in America. It's just, Anyway, so yes, he's ready. Now, if the deal is according to his terms, he's going to meet yesterday. Next one. Let's see what Zelensky says about this peace process. And this will tell you everything you need to know. Today is from the 28th of November, so it's Friday. Zelensky won't give territory to Russia. Scandal hit top aide. This is Yermak. Under Yermak's comments come as anti-corruption officers searched his apartment as part of a probe into energy sector kickbacks. Zelensky will not give territory to Russia. Why? Why not? Well, because he's the president. He doesn't think that's right. Correct? Correct. So let's say he doesn't give it. And the Americans said, you have to give the Ukrainians lands to the Ukrainian nations or countries. Let's put it countries, not nation. Countries. Because we like it or not, under international whatever recognition or laws, the territories that now belong to Russia are not belonging to Russia. United Nations, if we take that body as being the official one, those do not belong to Russia now. So the Ukrainian nation has a territory, right? Has a land, has a country. And part of it belongs to someone else, so someone else took it. Right? Now these guys will not want to give that to those guys, correct? Correct. Well, what are you going to do when those guys tell you, okay, we're going to take more? Well, you can say we're going to fight for it, fight and try to prevent it. That's fine. But if they're going to advance, you look back and you say, whoa, that's Poland. Oh my God, that's Slovakia, that's Hungary, that is Romania. These guys are going to take everything. What do? Maybe you either you fight until the last one and then you lose everything, or you say, okay, stop right now, make a deal, temporary, and then you try again later to get them back. It happened many times in history. One example could be Transylvania, if you want, in Romania. It's a easy example. Or Poland with Danzig corridor and so on, that area. Pack, switch sides and so on. So again, Zelensky won't give territory because he's a great Ukrainian with a big heart. So I don't know, reading Taras Shevchenko poems, or what do you think? Or the guys around him are like, you just do it, you just say it. But we'll find out. I think he does this not because that's my assessment as an individual. I don't think Zelensky cares about the Ukrainian nation or anything Ukrainian unless that Ukrainian thing provides money and power or recognition. Not power, recognition. Zelensky, I don't see him ending pretty nicely. I don't think. And I don't think it's going to be the Russians providing him with a missile. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be other interest, domestic, or could be from MI6, or could be from CIA when he stops following their orders. All right, next one. Let's talk about what stands behind the peace, or what's the key holdup in Ukraine's peace process. And according to Putin, this is what it is. Putin names key holdup in Ukraine peace process. Clashing views within the so-called collective West and in the US itself are stalling and any settlement. The Russian president says, and this is what he says. It is not about us. It's about the struggle of different opinions in the collective West and in the United States itself about what is happening and what needs to be done in order to stop the war. Now, let's be nice, Putin, because he says here, certain areas is good with the peace process, but fundamental issues require serious discussions. See, this is almost the last, it's in the last paragraph, but almost the last sentence of the article. The point is, why do the Americans and the Europeans differ? Some Europeans differ in their approach. I said before, because they don't get enough perks. The other one is the Russians' demands, the fundamental issues. So yeah, she said, I'm okay, man. It's not Russia. It's those guys over there. But those guys discuss your position. You see, it's a little bit like that. So if you would say, you know what, I retreat, I go back, I give reparations, I even hang myself, I give everything that Russia has to you guys, there's not going to be any holdup, any zero. Tomorrow the war will end, unless you're going to have some factions who would not agree with that, but they will be destroyed in no time. So it's Russia's conditions that have these guys broken in 2, in 3, in 4, and so on. What are the conditions? The same ones, unjustifiable, all right, for which Russia invaded Ukraine, all right, not in 2022. In 2014, we're told. All right, got there? All right, let's move to not to Mr. Yermak, but we're going to move to how you stop the peace process in Ukraine, according to Russia Today. And they say it's very easy, right there. Seizing Russian assets would derail Ukraine peace push. Belgium has ratchet up opposition to using frozen funds for a loan scheme to finance Ukraine. In a strong world letter on Thursday to European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, cited by Politico, De Wever warned that the scheme, which would use the immobilized funds held by Brussels-based Euroclear as collateral for the reparations loan, would remove a bargain tool from any eventual settlements with Moscow. hastily moving forward on the proposed reparations loan scheme would have as a collateral damage that we are, as EU, are effectively preventing reaching an eventual peace deal. The point is, it's exactly what some interests want. So if they can convince those guys from Euroclad in Belgium to provide them and agree to provide them with 140 billion dollars in Russian assets, then the Russians will say they think, okay, no deal, that's it. That's what they think. I think they will move on because the Americans will come and tell the guys in Europe, beat it. Little by little. Have you noticed that the US had such a big influence at the beginning of this garbage in Ukraine, when they told the Europeans, you got sanctions Russia, you can't buy Russian oil, and someone blew up the Nord Stream. The Europeans were like, oh, these guys are serious about it. We don't know who did it. It was those Ukrainians and that lady of the night, okay, an Andromeda yacht, right? So these guys were so easy, jumped on board and ran out. Supposedly, the Americans, it takes them so hard to convince them. I don't think it's for the public. I don't want to show the Europeans how little they matter actually, and nowadays. So that's the one. Yeah, if you want to stop it temporarily, you use those funds for reparation loan. And I wonder, if it's a loan, it must have an interest. Is that going to be given back to the Russians after the war? So actually the Europeans are the Russian bankers. What I'm talking about, if I take your money and I use it as a loan to Ukraine creates bullshit, just weapons at this point, and sells some corn and fertilizer. And these guys are sending back, right, the interest, let's say interest, 20% interest. Who's going to get the interest? The Russians? No. I mean, all right, I think so. Right, and we find China is ready to work with both Ukraine and Russia, but the title says differently. China says it engages with Ukraine on bringing war to end, not with Russia. Like Trump is traveling to China in May, I think, and Xi Jinping will come and April of May 2026. Emmanuel Macron of France travels at the beginning of December to see Xi Jinping, and the article said to convince Xi Jinping to put pressure on Putin, not on Ukraine, on Putin, to stop the carnage in Ukraine. And here these guys say China supports negotiations and any other efforts aimed at establishing peace in Ukraine and is interacting with all parties, including Ukraine and Russia, to bring the end to a swift end. The title says something else. Only Ukraine. Hey, good, everybody get involved. Good. Now, everything is about profits and interest. So don't you think that China is doing this just because we love peace? No, they get something out of it. And as of now, China is winning big time. All right, next one. Let's see what Yermak did. All right, here. Ukraine anti-corruption agents target top Zelensky aide. The raid on Andrei Yermak's premises come weeks after a man known as Zelensky's wallet fled the country to Israel. They're all Jews over there, man. This is Jewish, right there, Yermak. Zelensky is Jewish. Shmihal is Jewish. The other guy who fled to Israel is Jewish. I mean, really. And they want to do the same thing to Russia. They did it. They did it after 1917, the October Revolution and so on. They did it after that. They were in charge until about 50-some, and then some Russians took it back. And then they were again in control since 1991 with the understanding until about 2006. After 2006, Putin kicked them out. I mean, they fled because he said, come over here, I want to talk to you. No. How do you say no in Yiddish? Poo-poo? Poo-poo. So these guys fled to London and so on. Some of them died. Berezovsky died in London, didn't he? Poor Berezovsky. He was in charge of the Russian nation, that guy. Anyway, so these guys are investigated. Now I think this could be a blackwash, not a whitewash, a blackwash of these guys. I will explain. Ukraine's anti-corruption watchdog raids Zelensky's chief of staff, Yermak. He's very concerned. Next one. You look at him, me, he looks like Weinstein. Nabo Sapo conducts searches at Yermak's premises, and the important one is this one. Actually, the last one. Nabu and Sapo raid Yermak's office in Kiev's government quarter, and here it is. Ukrinform, this is the title I like. Searches at Yermak's home, no charges filed. Investigative actions ongoing. Source. All right, this is what I think is going on over there. If these searches are done by the Ukrainians, that means are controlled by the Ukrainians, by the same guys who are investigated. If these searches are conducted by the Ukrainians with the CIA, which I read it is, then this could be almost for real. CIA is infiltrated by the same guys in America, just so you know. And I'm not talking about, oh, look at the director of CIA is not a, bazaar guy. The guys underneath, the guys who conduct things are. Anyway, if you don't believe me, go and search that. Do a search for me, and you're going to find out. Not only CIA, FBI as well. Foreign policy as well. Finance as well. Schools. Look who's in the social science departments. Hollywood it is. Media it is. But hey, that's a conspiracy theory. I want you to believe that. It's a conspiracy theory. And if you think otherwise, you're a bad dude. So here, this is what these guys are doing. I think they are doing the same thing they did in Romania. Some people in Romania, I'm not calling them Romanians, but some of them got very rich very fast after 1989 revolution. Very fast and very rich. And they were very visible. They threw their money in front of everybody. Look who we are, you can't touch us. And at one point, they decided, or someone else decided, hey, you gotta prosecute these guys. So they got a few of these guys. They put them in jail for about 9 months in special jails, not in jail like where they get their ass like that. No. Some special. And after about 9 months, a year in prison, they came out clean. You got it? So it was a blackwash. That's what it was. So right now, these guys, do you think they're gonna either gonna prove that Yermak is clean? Okay, or they will obviously say Yermak is dirty. What Yermak do you think is going to do? Either he's going to go to prison for, 6 months, not even. Remember Reznikov, the other Jew from who was the defense minister in Ukraine? Where is he at? He was fired for corruption charges, but he was not charged with anything. Everybody else was, not he. He just said, okay, fire me. And he went back and he lives very nicely. The same thing could happen with these guys. And if it doesn't, they're going to fly to London. Like the guys from Russia flew to, oligarchs, some of them, flew to London. So I think this could be, I'm waiting. I'm not sure yet. But the thing is, no charges filed. That means, and investigative actions ongoing. It's just smoke for us. Hey, here, take it. Take it. And then it's going to be clean and everybody's going to say, see. And these guys in Europe still provide Ukraine with billions of dollars from you. Not now from you, but you and your children will pay, and I will pay for the interest. Do I pay to the Russians or to the Rothschilds? I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.